Imagine walking into a room where everyone is desperately trying to prove how smart, capable, and important they are. They are loud. They are exhausting. And then you notice him. He's sitting in the corner. He hasn't said more than 3 sentences the entire evening. Yet, every time he speaks, the room falls dead silent. People lean in. They hang on his every syllable. Why? Because while everyone else is bleeding power through their mouths, he is hoarding it. Most people believe that to win in life, to lead, to be remembered, you have to speak up. You have to dominate the conversation. But the most dangerous, influential people across human history knew a secret that runs entirely counter to human nature. A secret that can make you instantly magnetic, terrifyingly unreadable, and intensely powerful. It is a paradox. The less you say, the more powerful you become. But there is a dark side to this rule. A boundary line. If you cross it, your silence won't protect you. It will destroy you. Late in this video, we will look at the exact moment where silence turns from a weapon of power into a trap of your own making, and the one terrifying exception where saying nothing will ruin your life. But first, let's travel back to a time when a single spoken sentence could cost you an entire empire. De Talleyrand, one of the most brilliant and ruthless diplomats in human history. Talleyrand survived the French Revolution, the rise of Napoleon, and the restoration of the monarchy. How? By mastering the art of saying less than necessary. In 1815, during the Congress of Vienna, the European powers met to carve up the world after Napoleon's defeat. The room was filled with aggressive, loud, arrogant men trying to bully each other into giving up land and power. Talleyrand didn't shout. He didn't argue. His tactic was far more sinister. When an opponent would present a massive, aggressive demand, Talleyrand would simply sit there. He would look at the man, let his eyes glaze over, and say absolutely nothing. The silence in the room would stretch. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds. If you've ever experienced a conversational silence, you know how agonizing it is. The human brain panics. It interprets silence as a threat. The opponent, desperate to break the suffocating tension, would inevitably start backpedaling. They would say, well, of course, we could compromise on this part. Or, perhaps we don't need that specific territory. Talleyrand didn't have to defeat them. He let their own anxiety defeat them. He used silence as a mirror that forced his enemies to expose their own weaknesses, their own fears, and their own hidden cards. He won empires simply by keeping his mouth shut. Key lessons and principles. Lesson 1. The law of scarcity in human speech. The psychology behind Law 4 is rooted in a fundamental law of economics. Value is determined by supply and demand. When something is rare, its value skyrockets. When it is abundant, it becomes cheap. The same applies to your words. When you talk constantly, you inevitably say something foolish, defensive, or weak. You give people the exact ammunition they need to categorize you, dismiss you, or weaponize your words against you. By withholding your words, you create an aura of mystery. Modern example. Look at elite business executives or tech founders during high-stakes negotiations or interviews. The ones who speak in short, precise, deliberate sentences always command the room. Think of the late Steve Jobs during his iconic keynotes, the long, dramatic pauses he used before revealing a product. The pause created the value. The common mistake: most people talk because they are uncomfortable with tension. They mistake talking for controlling. They feel that if they aren't speaking, they are losing. In reality, the person listening and observing is the one holding all the cards. Lesson 2. The mirror effect of silence. When you refuse to speak, you create a psychological vacuum. Human beings naturally abhor a vacuum. We feel an intense, subconscious urge to fill empty space. If you stay silent during an interaction, the other person will automatically fill that space by talking, and because they are talking out of nervousness, they will lose their filters. They will reveal their true motives, their insecurities, their secrets, and their vulnerabilities. Modern example. Elite interviewers and interrogators use this every day. When a subject finishes an answer, the interviewer won't ask the next question immediately. They will just nod and look at the subject. 9 times out of 10, the subject will feel so awkward that they will start rambling and inadvertently reveal the truth they were trying to hide. Why most people fail. It takes immense emotional control to sit in silence. Our ego wants to share our opinions, correct others, and prove our intelligence. To apply this lesson, you must kill your ego and let the other person's ego do the heavy lifting. Personal analysis and opinion. Let's look at this law with a critical, realistic lens. Is it flawless? No. The timeless strength of Law 4 is that it builds unshakable emotional discipline. In a world driven by social media, where everyone has an instant, unfiltered microphone, the ability to control your tongue is a superpower. It prevents you from making rash promises, burning bridges, or reacting out of anger. However, this law can be highly controversial and deeply misunderstood. Many readers mistake saying less than necessary for being passive, cold, or socially awkward. If you just stand in a corner refusing to speak to anyone, you don't look powerful. You look detached, insecure, or strange. Furthermore, this strategy does not work for everyone or in every situation. In modern collaborative environments like creative tech teams, modern startups, or intimate romantic relationships, extreme silence destroys trust. It creates suspicion. People might think you are hiding something, or worse, that you have nothing valuable to contribute. The secret nuance of this law that most people miss is this. It's not about being mute. It's about being deliberate. It's about making sure that when you do speak, your words carry weight, clarity, real-life application. How do you weaponize this principle in your everyday life without looking like a historical dictator? Let's break it down. How to apply it today. In college school, when participating in seminars or group projects, don't be the person who jumps to answer every single question with half-baked thoughts. Wait. Listen to everyone else's arguments. Let the chaos settle. Then, summarize the best points and give a precise, well-thought-out conclusion. You will instantly be viewed as the smartest person in the group. In relationships, when an argument starts heating up, your instinct is to yell, defend yourself, and throw words like weapons. Instead, step back, say less, listen intently. Ask calm, brief questions. By not escalating with words, you retain complete emotional control of the situation, preventing regretful escalations. In social situations, practice the 80-20 rule of conversation. Let others speak 80% of the time while you all speak 20% of the time. Ask deep, open-ended questions, then let them talk. People love talking about themselves. They will leave the conversation thinking you are an incredibly charismatic, insightful person, even though they did all the talking. Most powerful takeaway. Now, let's answer the question we posed at the very beginning of this video. What is the dark side of this rule? What is the one terrifying exception where silence will utterly ruin you? Robert Greene warns us that silence can backfire under one specific condition. When you are trying to build an initial layer of deception or when you are under direct suspicion. If you are completely silent when people are already suspicious of you, your silence looks like a confession of guilt. It makes you look icy, calculating, and untrustworthy. In those moments, silence is a trap. So, what is the single most transformational lesson of this entire law? Power does not belong to the loudest voice in the room. Power belongs to the person who controls the space between the words. When you learn to speak less than necessary, you stop reacting to the world, and you start dictating it. You become an enigma, and humans are deeply, irrevocably drawn to enigmas. Conclusion. The next time you walk into a meeting, a hangout, or a confrontation, and you feel that burning, desperate urge to speak up, to defend your ego, to prove how right you are, I want you to take a deep breath. Remember King Louis XIV. Remember Talleyrand. Bite your tongue, lean back, and let the silence do the work for you. I leave you with one final question to carry with you this week. How much of your own personal power have you unconsciously thrown away just because you couldn't keep your mouth shut? Think about it. We'll see you in the next video.